Good morning, dear students of PG third semester, Bihar University, Muzaffarpur. I am going to deliver my lecture on modern and contemporary poetry, that is CC10. I am Dr. S.K. Paul, HOD, University Department of English, BRA, Bihar University, Muzaffarpur. Today I am going to deliver my lecture. Today I am going to deliver my lecture on Yeats's poem Adam's Curse. First of all, I would like to read out the text for you so that you may comprehensively understand the meaning of the poem. Meaning of the poem. So, here is the text. Adam's Curse. We sat together at one summer's end, that beautiful, mild woman, your close friend, and you and I, and talked of poetry. I said, a line will take us hours, maybe, yet if it does not seem a moment's thought, our switching and unswitching has been not. Better go down upon your marrow bones and scrub a kitchen pavement or break stones like an old pauper in all kinds of weather, for to articulate sweet sounds together is to work harder than all those, and yet be thought an idler by the noisy set of bankers, schoolmasters, and clergymen, the martyrs call the world. And thereupon, that beautiful, mild woman for whose sake there is many a one shall find out all her take. On finding chat, her voice is sweet, and lo, replied, to be born woman is to know, although they do not talk of it at school, that we must labor to be beautiful. I said, it is certain there is no fine thing since Adam's fall, but needs much laboring. There have been lovers who thought love should be so much compounded of high courtesy that they should sigh and quote with learned looks precedents out of beautiful old books. Yet now it seems an old trade enough. We sat grown quieter at the name of lover. We saw the last embers of daylight die, and in the trembling blue green of the sky, a moon worn as if it had been to shell, washed by time's waters as they rose and fell above the stars and broke in days and years. I had a thought for no one's but your ears, that you were beautiful, and that I strove to love you in the old highway of love, that it had all seemed happy, and yet we would grown as weary hearted as that hollow moon. So here is the text of the poem. Here is the text of the poem, Adam's Curse. Now, I will explain the poem in critical manner, in literary manner. Addressing his beloved, the speaker in this poem remembers sitting with her and that beautiful mild woman, your close friend, at the end of summer discussing poetry. He remarked them He remarked then that a line of poetry may take hours to write, but if it does not seem the thought of a single moment, the poet's work has been useless. The poet said that it would be better to scrub a kitchen pavement or break stones like an old pauper in all kinds of weather, for to write poetry is a task harder than these, yet less appreciated by the bunkers, schoolmasters, and clergymen of the world. The beautiful, mild woman whose voice the speaker notes is so sweet and low it will cause many men heartache, replied that to be born a woman is to know that one must work at being beautiful, even though that kind of work is not discussed at school. The speaker answered by saying that since the fall of Adam, every fine thing has required laboring. He said that there have been lovers who spent time learning precedents out of beautiful old books, but now such study seems an idle trade enough. At the mention of love, the speaker recalls the group grew quiet, watching the last embers of daylight die. In the blue-green sky, the moon rose, looking worn as a shell, washed by time's waters as they rose and fell about the stars and broke in days and years. The speaker says that he spoke only for the ears of his beloved, that she was beautiful, and that he strove to love her in the old high way of love. It had all seemed happy, he says, and yet we would groan as weary hearted as that hollow moon. What is the now I will explain the form of the poetry of Adam's curse. Adam's curse is written in heroic couplets, which is a name used for describe rhyming couplets in iambic pentameter. Some of the rhymes are full, years, and some are only partial, clergymen and thereupon. So, some commentary on this poem I will extend now. Adam's Curse is an extraordinary poem, though it was written early in Yeats's career, appearing in his 1904 collection in the Seven Woods, and though its stylistic simplicity is somewhat atypical for Yeats, it easily ranks among the best. It easily ranks rank among the best, among his best and most moving work, within an emotional recollection of an evening spent with his beloved and her friend. Yeats frames a philosophical argument that because of the curse of because of the curse of labor that God placed upon Adam when he expelled him from the Garden of Eden. Every worthwhile human achievement, particularly those aimed at achieving beauty, whether in poetry, physical appearance, or love, requires hard work. The simple speech like rhythms of the iambic pentameter fulfill the poet's dictate that a poetic line should seem but a moment's thought, and the bittersweet emotional tone appears wholly organic. a natural result of the recollection. The speaker loves the woman to whom the poem is addressed and speaks only for her ears, but though the scene seems happy, their hearts are as weary as shells worn by the waters of time. Behind the natural, unsophisticated feel of the poem, of course, lies a great deal of hard work and structure. Just as poem's speaker says must be true of poetry generally, one of the most charming aspects of this poem is its mirroring of the aesthetic principles laid out by the speaker in the first stanza. The discussion of work and beauty is divided into three progressive parts. The speaker's claims about poetry, the friend's claims about physical beauty, and the speaker's claims about love. The last claim affords Yeats says the chance both to hush the trio and to soften the mood of the poem, and the speaker looks outward to the rising moon, which becomes a metaphor for the effects of time on the human heart, a weariness presumably compounded by the labor of living since Adam's fall. William Butler Yeats's Adam's Curse, written in 6 uneven stanzas of iambic pentameter rhymed couplets, recounts one of the poet's meetings with Maud Gonne. Maud Gonne is one of the most famous women personalities in the world. Yeats and Maud Gonne are somewhat synonymous. Maud Gonne, a free-spirited Irish patriot and sometime actress who was just returning from an extended trip abroad. Maud's sister, the beautiful, mild Kathleen, was the third person present, but the personal situation is mildly altered in the poem. Maud, identified only as you, is said to be the younger woman's close friend rather than sister. After setting the scene, three friends at twilight on a late summer evening, the poem turns to a conversation that took place between the poet and his beloved's beautiful young woman friend. He remembers observing that although the writing of poetry is more difficult than physical work, the product of a poet's labors has to appear effortless. The friend, gentle of voice, with the kind of mild, seemingly natural attractiveness destined to break men's hearts, responded that the beauty of woman is also the product of studied effort. That observation led the poet to remark that all human accomplishments since the biblical fall of Adam have entailed hard labor. Even love was once regarded as an exalted experience that required the gathering of precedents from the old poetic world of chivalry. It was treated as a profound matter to be studied and approached reverently. Now, like the writing of poetry, it is considered idle. It is considered idle. What an irony. Maud referred to only as you. Here, you is Maud. Remained silent, and the word love silenced the speakers. The three watched the vestiges of daylight fade, the moon apparently hollowed out by time's tide, breaking in waves of days and years over the earth, drew the poet's special attention. In that silence, he later confessed, he later confessed, he later confessed. He thought, he thought you beautiful. He wanted to love Maud chivalrously. Once loving her had seemed joyous and fortunate, but now, like the hollow moon, she and he were exhausted by love. Hollow moon exhaustion. That is called hollow moon exhaustion. Exhausted. So, what are the forms and devices of W.B. Yeats's and the elements of modernity that he has exhibited in this poem Adam's Curse? Very simple. I have already dealt with some allusions, some symbols, some allusions, some symbols, and some references, and some that's called personifications, some important, some major personification. There is a sense that Adam's Curse, like one of William Wordsworth's meditative poems, Tinted Away, for example, resulted from the contemplation in tranquility of powerful emotions. Tinted Away was written by William Wordsworth. So it is the preface, it is the prelude, it is the prelude of his poetry, a prelude of his life, or say some kind of focus on his life. Tinted Abbey, for example, resulted from the contemplation in tranquility of powerful emotions that accompanied an important but seemingly trivial event. That sense places the poem in a romantic tradition. In a romantic tradition, Wordsworth made explicit in preface to the second edition, that is in 1800, of lyrical ballads, but with a crucial difference. Wordsworth and his fellow poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge first published lyrical ballads in 1798, a little more than 100 years before Yeats's poem. The 19th century was about to begin, and English Romanticism was on the rise, replacing the comparatively still neoclassicism of the previous century. Wordsworth and Coleridge were attempting to introduce deep feeling and natural expression into poetry because the work of the neoclassical poets seemed to them too cerebral and formal. At the start of the 20th century, Yeats was troubled that apparently natural emotions and appearances are illusory. Yeats's conversational tone in this poem appears relaxed. However, as his seemingly easy observation that poetry, unless it seems a moment's thought, our stitching and unstitching has been not, reveals by its technical perfection. Studied labor is required in order to produce the appearance of ease in the Renaissance called sprezzatura. Sprezzatura. So better pronounced is sprezzatura. Sprezzatura. There is in Adam's Curse a subtle invocation of courtly Renaissance sonnet making and challenges to it. The overriding issue in William Shakespeare's sonnets 1609 is a love triangle. The sonnet writers the sonnet writers are female lovers. Female lovers seduce his young male friend. In Yeats's poem, there is no such deception. But the poet, though in love with the older women, is clearly attracted to the younger woman's voice and beauty. The importance of her presence between two mature lovers is underscored by his anticipation of the effect she will have on other men. Obviously, there was some such effect on the person who predicts the future. So thank you. This way I have completed the W.B. Yeats's poem, Adam's Curse. Thank you.